Hello, people of YouTube. My name is Steve Gray. Thank you for watching. Today is going to be an unusual video. We're going to be doing a tribute about Carl Reiner. So, if you're not familiar, I have a guitar and kind of music channel, Gray's Guitars as well. I got a request on there to do a video tribute to Carl Reiner. Now, you're probably thinking, who is this guy? How is this anime and cartoon related? And it is. It is. He actually did some voice acting for a couple of shows. He is an older gentleman. Many of you may have never heard of Carl Reiner, but you might be familiar with his son, Rob Reiner. South Park made fun of him very heavily, his son, if you're familiar with those episodes. But let's just take a look at Carl Reiner and what he has done here through his 98 years. He passed away back in June of 2020. So he was an American actor, comedian, director, screenwriter, and author whose career spanned 7 decades. During the early years of television comedy from the 1950 to 1957, he acted and contributed sketch material for Your Show of Shows, Caesar's Hour, Sid Caesar, alongside Mel Brooks, Neil Simon, and Woody Allen. Reiner teamed up with Brooks. Together, they released several iconic comedy albums, beginning with the 2000 Years with Carl Reiner and Mel Brooks in 1960. Reiner was best known as the creator and producer and writer and actor on The Dick Van Dyke Show, 1961 to 1965. Reiner formed a comedy duo with Mel Brooks in The 2,000-Year-Old Man and acted in such films as It's a Mad, 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 Mad World, 1963, The Russians Are Coming, The Russians Are Coming, Ocean's film series. He wrote and directed some of Steve Martin's first most successful films, including The Jerk. Also directed comedies such as Where's Pumbaa, Oh God, All of Me. Reiner appeared in dozens of television specials from 1967 to 2000, was the guest star in television series from 1950 until his death. He also voiced characters in film and animated films, and was a reader for book tapes. He wrote more than 24 books, mostly in his later years. In the TV series Father of the Pride, Reiner voiced Sarmoti, if I'm pronouncing that correctly, which went on to become one of his most significant roles kind of in more recent years. So that was an animated series. If you are not familiar with Father of the Pride, it was a 2000 to 2005 show, so it was about a year run. And it was an American animated sitcom, so he was in a lot of sitcoms, did comedy things with sitcoms. It was created by Jeffrey Keisenberg from DreamWorks Animation. That was part of a short-lived trend of CGI series in primetime network television. The series centered on families of white lions, patriarch of which was Siegfried and Roy's show in Las Vegas. Despite heavy promotion, the series was a flop and canceled after one season. Transmission and production were also delayed by the real-life onstage injury of Roy Horn in 2003. The family was convinced by Ketzenberg when he visited Siegfried and Roy's Secret Garden in Las Vegas in 2002. So if you're not familiar, Siegfried and Roy was like a circus. They had a circus several years ago. I don't think it's been in promotion for a long time now, but that was basically the show of it. And it had several episodes. Wasn't the most popular, but it was an enjoyable show overall. Many people of all ages enjoyed the show as well. Here's just a few images of him. This is the father figure right here, the larger white lion, and they got the whole family here. I think there's probably your best picture as well, Father of the Pride. So he also did Where's Pumbaa in 1970, and this was a comedy film. Everybody thinks, oh, you hear Pumbaa, you think Lion King, but no, this was way before Lion King. So let's continue here with his Wikipedia page. So he was born in the Bronx. He joined the military and ended up serving in World War II. So this is a World War II veteran. Got the rank of corporal. He trained to become a radio operator. After spending 3 months in the hospital recovering from pneumonia, he was sent to Georgetown University for 10 months of training as a French interpreter. Then he had his first experience as a director putting on a Morley play entirely in French. So that's kind of how he got into the industry. He veteran, World War II, and then he put on a play in French. After completing language training in 1944, he was sent to Hawaii to work as a teleprinter. If you're familiar with that, it is like a little machine that beeps, kind of like a Morse code, if you will. The night before he was scheduled to ship out for an unknown assignment, he attended a production of Hamlet by the Special Services Entertainment Unit. Following an audition before actor Major Morris Evans, he was transferred to Special Services. Over the following 2 years, Reiner performed around the Pacific Theater, entertaining troops in Hawaii, Guam, and several other countries as well, getting honorably discharged in 1946. So he got into it. The military, ironically, got him into it, which I think is pretty cool. He has got a couple of kids too. Obviously, there was Rob. There's Annie and Lucas, probably the most famous of them being Rob Reiner himself, as many of you may know him currently. So let's see what he did in kind of his later years. So he was honored with the Mark Twain Prize for American Humor at the Kennedy Center, where he was honored by fellow friends, comedians, Mel Brooks, Dick Van Dyke, Mary Taylor, etc., etc. A year later, he portrayed Sal's Blooms in Ocean's 11. If you're not familiar with the Ocean's 11 series, Rick and Morty kind of did a spoof of all three of those movies, making fun of them to a certain extent, but they were all kind of crazy mystery movies that were like a twist within a twist within another twist. So there's another kind of animation part that leads into this as well. So he claimed he knew how to play the role in a teleconference. He said, "I spent my youth from time when I was 6 to 18 living next to the Bronx Zoo. I knew lions immediately. I watched them pace. They talked to me and I talked back. I learned that they have the worst breath of any animal in the world. I got a roar from the lions in person." Reiner mentioned Siegfried and Roy, stating, "I think Siegfried immediately called Jeffrey and said it was very important to go forward with the show, to give the idea to Siegfried and Roy continuing. Stopping the show would have stopped both of their performing lives. They were both very excited about doing an animated show, so this kind of leads into the father of the pride. And Siegfried thought the show was very helpful because it helped Roy pull through a little faster. The two characters in the show are really funny, and the show makes a very big deal of making them look silly, but the sillier they are, the happier they are. Based on the characters of Sarmoti, Sarmoti, stated that Curmudgeons always gets the good lines." So this was kind of what he was doing in his later years. He was doing more animated works. Older guy, 98, definitely up there in age, but he was doing what he could to make people happy, and that was very interesting. Mary Madagascar, if you're familiar with the Madagascar series, he voiced Santa in that as well. He reprised his role in Penguins of Madagascar as well. 2.5 Men, he was on the Cleveland show, Hot in Cleveland. He just did. He has this plethora of material that he did over 7 decades, and it just kind of amazes me and also makes you sad that a lot of people don't exactly know who he was. A lot of the times he was behind the scenes. He wasn't always, the face. He was either voicing an animated character, directing something. If he was doing comedy, he was kind of in the background or writing with that. But a lot of people never actually saw this man's face because he was the one that was inventing all of it in the background, doing all of it in the background, and just making you laugh for years, literal decades. He was just making you laugh for close to a century. He just a good man overall. He's also an author and novelist. He joined Twitter at one point, which is kind of interesting. His approach to comedy writing, he expressed his philosophy on writing comedy in an interview in 1981. You have to imagine yourself as not somebody very special, but somebody very ordinary. If you imagine yourself as somebody really normal, it makes you laugh. It's going to make everybody laugh. If you think of yourself as someone very special, you'll end up a pendant in a bore. If you start thinking about what's funny, you won't be funny. Actually, it's like walking. How do you walk? If you start thinking about it, you'll trip. And it is. It's exactly. It's like one of those things where you're trying to create a joke. If you're purposely trying to be funny, you can't. A lot of people They can't. They're hilarious, but at the same time, they can't be funny even if they try. It's a very good quote of his. There's just some more information about his personal life as well in here. Um, he said in 2013 he developed an aesthetic viewpoint as the Holocaust projects. Reiner was a Democrat. He lived in Beverly Hills, California. From 1974 until 2000, he sponsored the Carl Reiner charity celebrity tennis tournament in La Costa, California, directed by international tennis player Mike Francis, which was played yearly over 3 days and included 400 players, of which 400 were professional. So, excellent. Definitely doing some charitable work in there as well. On June 29th, 2020, Reiner died at his home in Beverly Hills, California, in the company of his family. He was 98 years old. According to his nephew, Reiner fell while leaving his TV room around 10 p.m. Pacific time and lost consciousness. His cause of death was officially confirmed to be natural causes. So he lived an excellent life. He 98 years old is definitely a decent life. All of his accomplishments that he made. He was a good man. So let's just take a moment here to take a look at some of his pictures of him through the years. And there you go. There's him in his heyday, smoking a big old cigar, as he should. He's got a couple of Oscars in his hand too, or those Grammys. But I think we'll just end it there. Excellent, man. If you want to see more of these, let me know. Comment down below. I can switch it up a little bit with some tributes of some voice actors for anime and other cartoons. If you liked the video, hit that subscribe button. Greatly helps. Turn on that notification bell, leave a like, and yet again, comment down below what you would like me to do for future anime and cartoon related videos. My name is Steve Gray. Thank you for watching, and as always, have a good one.